Hey, good day everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm Sean David. Let's talk some old school basketball. In today's episode, I want to cover a very special moment, a moment where Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen seemed to be totally fed up with Dennis Rodman in the 1997 NBA playoffs between the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks. But before we get into today's episode, please do me a favor. If you like the show, please subscribe to it. Also, like is very much appreciated. If you want to support the show even more, please check out my Patreon account. And I would say, let's get right into today's episode. From the 1990s onwards, Dennis Rodman never was known to be a very easygoing teammate and also not the easiest person for the NBA itself. In the 1997 playoffs between the Chicago Bulls and the Atlanta Hawks, well, he got ejected a couple of times. Again.
Can your teammates rely on you not to be ejected tonight?
I shouldn't have been ejected today. The league should have been embarrassed to eject someone because someone told me to put his thing in my face, and all I did was just knock it out the way. So if you want to eject me for that, I think this league, like I always said, this league should be wearing diapers, not pants.
Will you adjust your games if the refs call it tight tonight?
I'm not adjusting anything. You don't like the way I play, kick me out of the league.
The entire team was very pissed after Game 2, and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen really found some harsh words about Dennis Rodman at the press conference.
Hanging over their heads is the burden of reaching past excellence. Every win is measured against their previous accomplishments.
We're not doing the things that made us a great team last season, and we're just not playing hard enough to win. What the public and what the media is expecting, or what they're seeing in the past, is us blowing out teams and us dominating teams. It's not happening right now.
After struggling in the opener, the Bulls lost Game 2. Along with battling the Hawks, did the Bulls struggle with lofty expectations or complacency? Even worse, did the Bulls struggle with each other?
We got to have a bigger effort. We got to have a bigger effort from Dennis. We got to avoid the technical fouls that Dennis is getting, and he got to play. He just got to play the game and stop looking for the fans to give him the uplift and just play.
Dennis hasn't really given us the effort that he's given us throughout the course of the season. I think that's obvious. When I'm doing all the rebounding, he's not.
I think that if he's not going to lead us in rebound, then don't lead us in technical foul.
Are the Bulls starting to come apart? They've lost home court advantage of the series along with their aura of invincibility.
I'm not ready to push the panic button yet. I advise you guys not to do that either.
Now questions surround the defending champions. Will they have the answers?
Now that both team captains in Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen found such harsh words about Dennis Rodman, something must have happened. So let's have a look what exactly happened. In the 1996-97 season, the Bulls were the reigning champion and just came from a record-setting 72-10 season. But the second season started out a lot tougher since everybody wanted to beat the current NBA champion. Still, the Bulls managed to beat one team after the other and dominate the league. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman were leading the team, and the great Chicago Bulls supporting cast was doing the rest. Jordan and Pippen played all 82 games, and Dennis Rodman again was leading the NBA in rebounds, averaging 16.3 rebounds per game. But he also missed 27 games due to minor injuries, but also being banned from the league. But once he was on the floor, the Bulls were almost invincible. They won 69 games that season while missing Rodman for 27 games. How come nobody's talking about that? Let's pretend Dennis Rodman played all 82 games, they would have set a new NBA record. Chicago was obviously the first seed in the Eastern Conference and had to face the young Washington Bullets in the first round of the playoffs. The Atlanta Hawks, on the other hand, were also a very good team, but since the East was loaded back then, they had to fight to make the playoffs. Having their own big three in Steve Smith, Mookie Blaylock, and Dikembe Mutombo, plus a very good Christian Laettner, and being coached by the great Lenny Wilkens, they won 56 games that season and finished second in the Central Division. In the first round of the playoffs, they beat Grant Hill and the Detroit Pistons and were ready to take on the reigning champions, the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls won the first game at home, but it was a tough battle, and Dennis Rodman didn't exactly help the situation. Not only did he not rebound, but he also got ejected. The second game, the Bulls again were playing at home, but this time they lost. And while Michael Jordan was controlling the boards and having 16 rebounds, Dennis Rodman again got ejected and didn't rebound at all.
They managed to run against Detroit in Game 4, and that change in style have helped him. Dennis Rodman has picked up a technical foul. He picked up 4 technicals in the first round series against the Bullets.
Well, this is something which is major here now. This will quiet Dennis down. This referee crew definitely came out with an attitude that they are not going to allow him to carry on. Now, as you look at this, he is guarding a guy, Christian Laettner, who in the 4 games this year averaged 24 points and 8 rebounds. So they know that he's got to work hard. And there's another cheap push-off, and that's right.
The dangerous in transition. Pippen for 3. And Jordan fouled inside. Michael Jordan is hustling all over the court.
They got a technical foul. Technical foul here now on Rodman and Laettner.
That's Rodman's second. He's gone. Rodman has been thrown out of the game, ejected for his second technical foul. That's the second time in the playoffs.
After the second game, it was where Dennis Rodman was heavily criticized by Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. And also Phil Jackson made some major changes. He took Dennis Rodman out of the starting lineup, which was very uncommon back in the days, having such a superstar coming off the bench. But Phil Jackson had no other choice. But it wasn't Tony Kukoc who was taking Dennis Rodman's spot. It was Jason Caffey, yes, bench warmer Jason Caffey, who actually did a very good job. He got many rebounds, showed a lot of defensive effort, and the Bulls won the series in 5. However, Dennis Rodman had the worst playoff series in his entire career. He was averaging 3.2 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 1.2 assists. His career low.
Now keep an eye on this. Now watch as he gets down inside here. Now he's pushing off. Now he felt that he should have gotten the foul. Now you know he didn't get fouled. See, he made the motion.
Now look at this, 5 technicals in the playoffs, 1 ejection, but look at the money lost overall in this season. Amazing.
Right, yeah, well, naturally most of it comes
This Rodman situation has drawn the big headlines here in Chicago, wondering when Dennis will explode next. He's already picked up a technical foul in this game. These were the headlines today, and as Michael Jordan said, very frankly, Dennis put us in a tough situation on Tuesday. He knows it. In some respects, he let us down. So Michael Jordan very candid with his comments about Rodman, talking to him here.
Well, you know, he won his 6th rebounding title, averaging 16 rebounds a game. In the playoffs, he's only averaging 8. He's constantly in foul trouble, along with the technicals. He's ejected every other night. So they need him to hit a form of consistency here.
And Rodman.
But it seemed like Phil Jackson's message came across and Dennis Rodman learned his lesson. In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Bulls had to play against the Miami Heat, one of their biggest rivals from back in the days, and Dennis Rodman was back in the starting lineup. And now he was playing like Dennis Rodman again, grabbing 12.4 rebounds, which doesn't sound too much, but against a team like the Miami Heat with Alonzo Mourning, it was more than solid. As you all know, in that year, the Chicago Bulls were the NBA champions again, playing against the Utah Jazz in an epic series, and yes, one of my favorite series of all time, beating the Utah Jazz with Karl Malone and John Stockton and having their second repeat. But I think that it's safe to say that the key to the championship was the series against the Atlanta Hawks and how Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson, and Scottie Pippen woke Dennis Rodman up.
I think we sort of broke through some barriers there and started to play much better after that game.
The rejuvenated Bulls would now finish off Atlanta.
That's it. The energy, everything has been picked up by the Bulls. Rodman for 3. The Bulls on fire again.
They're just picking the Hawks apart now. The world champions playing like they want to repeat.
Outstanding
what a pass by Dennis.
Wow.
That could be the nail in the coffin.
Alright you guys, that's it for today's video. Again, I promised recently that I will show where I got my trading cards from since I get so much response. I covered it recently, but again, this time for example, I got the 1994 trading cards of Flair, actually one of my favorite boxes. If you want to know where you can get them from, check out the link underneath the video. So that they are pretty cheap and they have everything from Upper Deck, Flair, Skybox, you name it, they have it. So if you want to get some of these, check it out. And I hope to see you next time. Peace, I'm out.